All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's been what, 2 weeks? It feels like it's been forever. It's always so weird with the holidays and especially when they're middle of the week. It's like today's Friday, but it feels like Monday, but it doesn't. But anyways, we got
Happy
Mr.
New
Matthew. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Happy New
Mr. Matthew Souza with us. You got a lot of things kind of on your plate, right? Owner, CrossFit Livermore.
Yep.
Is it producer? Is that the official thing for the Savon podcast?
Yeah, that works. Executive producer, as he labeled me a while back.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that executive title.
Don't you sell me short, Todd.
Yeah. An executive producer, please.
Is it partner in Media Launch? Is it founder of Media Launch? A little
Yeah,
bit of
both. Yeah. I own it with Jay Vera and Peter White, Pedro, as some people know from Cock Pods and Watts.
Oh, okay. Yep. I don't think I knew that he was part of that too. All right.
Yeah, as of recent, yes. So we always make the joke like we always want people to help out, quote unquote employees, but we'd rather have partners, and so that's where he came into play just over this last year.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And are you guys? I'm in the community and been diving in and watching some of that stuff. What are you guys planning on doing? Bringing him into the fold? What does that look like going forward?
Yeah, well, originally he was coming in to kind of do some support on the athlete side. He really wanted to try his hand at like an agency thing. And since we already had all the brands and we were kind of working with them, it made sense to kind of plug them to the athletes. Although I really think that Peter's talent really lies in more so creating ads for the brands. And so that's where that kind of shifted. Like as we got into the athlete agency side of things, we were like, I don't know how we split a penny 5 ways. So then we kind of shifted, and he's been really working with a lot of the brands that we work with. He still does a lot of stuff with the athletes, but that's kind of his role now. So he creates a lot of like the ads that you'll see if you watch any of them that are on the Kill Taylor show, or the ads that we create for some of those sponsors. A lot of those are Peter creating those. So that's where he kind of jumps in. He's a multi-tool though. He works with the partners. He's an account manager. He creates the ads. He films them, like, multi-tools.
That's awesome. Yeah, those ads are hilarious.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Now that's not the reason we brought you on this thing. Obviously, Coach Development Live. We were talking at it was the Mayhem event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were discussing your approach to coach development, onboarding a new coach. And I thought it was really, really cool because it went beyond what we typically deliver at like the level 1 and the level 2, which is the X's and O's of squat mechanics and points of performance and deadlift and all that stuff. And although that's part of it, that is not even where you start. So I'd be curious to know kind of your approach to coach development and bringing people on. And then I'll want to pick your brain a little bit more on why that is the approach. So if you could share your approach to coach development and bringing people on.
So it's funny because, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this in all your, the years that you've been involved in this. You go to this gym and everybody loves this coach and you're like, okay, this is going to be great. And then you start the class and there's like zero coaching. They're just kind of like wandering, like high-fiving, like chatting with people. But everybody in the whole gym, and especially in the class that I take, they're like, they love this person. And you're like, what in the world is happening? Not one person has received a cue. Like they're BSing about the kids and, talk about this and just kind of wandering with their PVC pipe. And it was experiencing that made me say, like, wait a minute, that's a huge part of the coaching, because even though those people might go somewhere else and receive like a much higher level of coaching and feedback and stuff like that, they still wouldn't leave that gym. They still wouldn't leave that individual or that class. And so for me, it was realizing, okay, there's this whole other side of coaching. Like if you want to refer to it as like the emotional intelligence, the energy, like whatever it is, the personality, the connection that you make with the members or the people that are in front of you, is actually more potent than sometimes the cues that are given, right? And so as I was doing kind of my coaching development for the gym here, it's like, yeah, everybody goes through their L1, hopefully their L2 at some point. They get kind of the nuts and bolts of like seeing and correcting, but how do we solve for that other side of it? And so that's kind of what I focus on when you first kind of come into the gym. And it's funny because even everybody goes through our process. Even if you're coming from a full-time coach of another reputable gym, I still just have you go through it. You might go through it a little quicker, but you're still going to go through the process. And it's funny because most people get through like the third or fourth page. They're like, okay, what we're going over has zero to do with coaching. And I'm like, yeah, that's correct. It's all hospitality. It's all how you deal with conflict in the gym. It's all about your approach. It's all about bringing energy and kind of giving that intangible vibe or like feeling that people experience when they're having a good time in your class and you're making a connection with the members. So that's really kind of where it started and why I focus on that early on.
That's super cool. And you had shared your handbook with us prior to this call for us to read through. And I noticed that myself where I'm reading through, it's about 13 or so pages long. And it wasn't until halfway that the first technical side of coaching, like whiteboard brief or warm up or whatever, started to come into play. And the whole first half is about just that intangible aspect we talk about. We refer to as presence and attitude often as one of the coaching skills. But yeah, I love it. And I completely agree. It's that feeling of, and I've seen it myself where you take a class and you're like, God, everyone is having such a good time. And
nobody's
one
learned
person
anything.
has received a coaching cue. But everybody, I mean, like people are leaving being like, that's the best class I've ever taken.
So much fun. This is awesome.
Yeah. And more and more, I think more and more coaches, I think, are realizing that you can, it's a pendulum, right? Like you get a little more comfortable on the floor and you want to get your coaching a little bit better. So you start focusing more on the dynamic seeing and the 2-1-2, right? Static, dynamic, static. And then that presence and attitude and that vibe, that energy gets left behind a little bit because you're focusing so much on the technical aspect. And ironically, your class level, I mean, in my opinion, your class level can come down a little bit, even if the technical side is improving. So
100%. Yeah. And the other thing that I think about a lot of the times is the people that have been around with you for like 10 years, right? Like, so I always make the joke, doesn't matter if you're in the gym for 5 minutes or 5 years, like you're still going to receive coaching, you're still going to receive some sort of feedback. But if you run everything exactly like it's the L1 and we have everybody circle up and you're going through the reps and you're going through that, like the people that have been at your gym for 5 years are going to be like, dude, it's a burpee, bro. Like this has been 5 minutes and you're giving me all these cues, right? And so it's like, okay, so how do you still manage giving feedback, making it good, but also keeping the energy high and making it to where it's not so like boring? And so I think that's kind of like the intersection that you want to be able to navigate. And the other thing too is, sometimes coaches get really focused on that. Like I made the joke a while back. My camera's kind of losing focus. Is the background noise too much? Can you guys hear that a lot?
At all.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, no,
okay,
you're
good.
fine.
Yeah, they just started their mech on there. And so yeah, a lot of the stuff that I think sometimes coaches get like too caught up in is a little bit of like, you know, oh my gosh, okay, I got to do it like the L1. I got to be able to give everybody this feedback and, you know, whatever the case may be. And they're not focused on necessarily the energy or like the flow or like, and you have to understand that as a CrossFit gym, yes, we're experts as coaches. We want to move towards professionalism, but we're also still competing in the marketplace with F45s, Orange Theories, and everything else. So if they just come in there and they have more fun right away, even though you have all the knowledge in the world and you have the best cues and you could run the best, you know, technical side of things, you're going to lose out to those people because the energy is just going to be higher. They're going to get moving quicker, you know, and so forth. And so I do believe that having a balance of those two is good. And that's why I teach the other side of it. Because typically, and you guys probably know, new coaches will come in and they're like over the top with the keys. Like, okay, we're going to do air squat, feet outside the hips. Okay, toes when it's slightly out. All right, chest up. And you're like, hold on. Like, it's already too much, guys.
Well, and there's so many layers to this too. It's like, I look at it, and if you run the gym and you're a high level coach, you've set the tone of what coaching looks like. You've also educated your members on how to move, probably like educated them enough to know how to scale, what kind of weights they should probably be using and that kind of stuff. And so it's like I've insulated my athletes from my new coaches. Even if my new coaches don't know anything technical, if they come in and just go through the motions, and they're going to ideally mimic what you're doing as the owner or the head coach or the person that they've seen on the floor most of the time, they're going to be able to do that. So I think to your point of making it more about connection than cues. And in fact, I love that on the page that you've got the quotation, you've got the quote. It's like making the hour more about connection and less about cues. It's like, that's right at the top of your, you call it the mature coach model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's huge. It's like, yes, we need a cue. We will get there. I can teach you how to do that, but you've got to connect with people first. I'm curious to know, why do you call it the mature coach model? Where does that
Yeah.
phrasing come from?
Yeah. So I was going to ask you guys if you guys noticed anything from there. I shamelessly have stolen that from Stephen Covey. If you've ever read the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, he actually talks about it just being a mature adult, right? So navigating through life with the correct amount of consideration and courage. And so I was reading that book through kind of thinking about, and there's a lot of influences in different books in there. The other one too is Man's Search for Meaning, where I think I took a quote directly and put it in one of the bottom ones there. So yeah, there's a lot of influence in whatever I was reading at the time. And that's where that came from. So I just switched it to the mature coach model because it made so much sense to me. And you guys have probably seen this in your times. Like, you have the coach that everybody loves, but is way too considerate. So they'll like stare at somebody with like the coaching head tilt as like they're completely missing range of motion on every single movement. And then they're like, good job. And they kind of just walk away. And you're like, wait a minute,
the deer in headlights. I want to say it, but I chicken out and I'm going to walk away.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And so you're kind of looking at them like, why didn't you say something? There was a great opportunity for that. And you have a good connection with that person. Like, jump in there. Or on the flip side, you've seen that person that's just like standing there like, no, rep, dude, that looks like trash. What are you doing? And they're like saying it in front of the class. And you're like, okay, you're not wrong, but like, could we have handled that a little bit better? And so I think the balance of those two is kind of where you find like what I refer to as the mature coach, which is also ripped off of the air squat, which like we talk about the mature squat versus like an immature squat. So I kind of like weave all those things into it. So subconsciously we're like layering other, way that we talk about things into that. So it kind of seems a little bit natural as you go from talking to people and emotional side of stuff to technical.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. And, even just using the word courage, I love, because, and I'm going to read how you describe it, because courage isn't necessarily a word that people probably go to when they think of just coaching like a class, right? But when you describe courage here, it's the ability to confidently lead a class, provide necessary corrections, even when challenging, and instruct members to adjust weight or movement and address sensitive issues like hygiene or payment respectfully. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. What's funny, like reading that, especially that last piece about like payment or somebody that's pushing back on scaling, but the hygiene thing is something I don't know about you, but I think off my head is like, I've had those stinky members that you're literally like, I need to teach you what deodorant is. And everybody in class like completely moves to the other side of the gym. And you're like, that's not a conversation you want to have, but somebody has to have that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And and a lot of the times too, and that's why I also include the payment piece into that, is because a lot of times you get a coach that comes into the gym and maybe they're, just a part-time, or they're just kind of getting their feet wet with it, but they still need to run it and operate it as if there's some sort of manager, or they're actually have ownership in the gym. Right. And so this is years back when I first started. There was one coach, was great guy. But the issue was like we kept seeing people's names. This is back when we still had it just on the whiteboard, right? And I kept seeing people's names at the end. And I'm like, I don't know who those people are. And I don't have them in my system and everything. So I go up and I talk to him. I'm like, hey, like, who is this group? And he's like, oh yeah, it's so-and-so and so-and-so. They've been coming here for a while. And I'm like, why in the world? And it turned out, and this doesn't happen very often across the, it turned out that they found out that coach didn't ever like check him in, didn't ever verify that there is payment or nothing. So they just knew that if they came at Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. that they could get free CrossFit classes. And I was like, holy crap. Okay, so we got to make sure that our coaches not only are, comfortable speaking up against like the hygiene thing or something like that, but also too like the payment process to be like, hey, are you a member here? Or are you just showing up because I never double checked that you've like paid into our system?
They probably come to the 6 a.m. regularly, and I just never see them. I'm sure they're fine.
I'm trying to check them in, and your name's not in here. That's so weird.
That's right.
Yeah. So Judy asked the question, is there ever pushback from more seasoned and technical members when a more fun coach is brought in who might not have all the technical knowledge?
No. And the reason why I would say is because typically if the class is fun, you completely like don't even notice that. The other thing too, to Judy's point, like we as you guys know, when you're running with a group class, you're probably not going to get crazy technical in terms of your coaching all the time. So even if you have a more like technical movement, like let's say it's a rope climb for this matter, right? But you get a class of 15 people, and maybe a couple other things on the board that you're doing within that workout, the chance of you going real deep into the technical side of coaching right there is probably pretty slim because of trying to manage everybody else that's in the class. So you don't really notice it at first. Not like all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, every time I go to Matt's class, he's giving me some super technical feedback, and every time I go to so and so's class, I like miss it, right? The other thing too is we spread the coaching around a lot, so you don't get too much into a rut. Like I realize people have kind of their set schedules, but we try to move things around. So even though you're coming to the same class every time, you're kind of getting a slight different rotation of coach. And the last thing to that point is we make it clear that the chances of you developing a high skill movement within a group class setting is going to take a very long time. And so we sell what we call Further Faster program, which is 3 30-minute personal training sessions spread over 4 weeks. So the first one you come in, we analyze the movement, we look at it, we decide, okay, here's your baseline. We set you up with a 4-week program to work on your lift or your skill. We check in on you on the midway point, and then you have another meeting with that coach at the very end. So we kind of are very upfront, like, hey, if you really want to dig into some of this, if your goal in 2026 is to get that muscle up, you should really be focusing on just go to the Further Faster program, pay for one of those, lock that in with the coach of your choice, where you're going to receive way more technical feedback. You're also going to get the movement way quicker because we're going to set you up a little program with it. And then we're going to have checkpoints to make sure you're still moving along that line of progress that we set it at the beginning. So for me, not only does that present more opportunity for my coaches to make money, sis, just sin, but on top of that, it allows the member to truly get what they want out of it. Because if you're showing up to a group class, like I got 18 people right here, 5:30 a.m. in the morning, right? So like if we have muscle ups and something in it, of course, we're going to go over a couple of drills. Of course, we're going to make sure that we dive into these foundational skills to scale it, right? But at the same time, if you really want to get that muscle up, that's not the place to get it. It's one-on-one with a coach with a 4-week program.
Yeah, I love that because I think so many coaches have been there, right? Where they have that class of 15 people, muscle ups are there, and you have that one member who's so close, and you have to make that call like, okay, I can't go down a rabbit hole with them and spend more time, even though I know I just need a little more time with them because I have 14 other people to deal with. So, yeah, we've got a question from Austin. Wants to know how much you charge for the Further Faster program.
It's $2,000. No, it's so
a session.
Yeah,
a session. So that's 3 30 minutes. So full $6,000 paid up front.
But hey, right. I guarantee you will get that muscle up at the end of the.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Muscle up guaranteed. It's 175, but the way that we do it is I set it up with a friend, and so we always say, hey, you could do it with a friend for $220. It lowers the price per person to $110 for that, and then the only stipulation is that you have to do the same movement or lift, and you guys have to come at the same time when you get the one-on-one with the coach. And we have had way more people sign up for the Further Faster with a friend than we have on the individual basis. So it works out really good. I think that price relevant to like our long personal training session is very competitive, but you also get a 4-week program with it. So that's kind of the cool part. And we really try to focus more so on like value for the members, because we do realize that we're selling those packages to members. Like they're not coming in to pay for just personal training. They're already a member of the gym and they're just want to work on one specific thing that they have a goal around.
That's such a cool way to do it. I got to imagine this time of year, you get a little more interest there where people have New Year's resolutions and goals and things like that they want to achieve, and especially with the open and stuff like that coming up.
Exactly. And that's how we phrase it around it too. We're like, hey, if you guys want one specific thing and you know that it's coming in the open, like go through this now and you'll get there by the time the open comes around.
Yeah. What do we got here? New coaches get to coach only one piece, next time another piece. Okay, put them in. So they essentially, he's talking about on-ramping people in as they go, which makes sense of like, hey, we're going to start with the whiteboard brief. That's all you're going to do. It's essentially assistant coaching. From my experience, most of the time I find that affiliate owners hire coaches from within the gym. And typically the people that they bring in are the ones that have that presence and attitude. So the ones that seem to make connections with people. I would guess that this is the case for you. Tell me about that. How do you guys usually find your coaches that you bring on to the staff?
Exactly that. So we look for the people that kind of embody everything naturally, and the members gravitate towards them. And then we just approach them like, hey, have you ever thought about coaching? We think you'd do awesome here. So that's the first way that we do it, kind of within, if they don't already kind of reach out saying, oh, I'd love to coach one day. And then I really foster that. I had a gym that I first went to, and I went to the owner of that gym, and I was like, one day I want to do this full time, and like, it'd be so cool to own the gym. And it was like, yeah, good luck with that. It's all jaded, you know? And I was like, oh, that was rude. Yeah. And then like 2 years later, I owned a gym. But it was so we try to foster that if we see anybody who just is naturally gravitating toward it, or who we think is going to be a really great embodiment of the kind of energy fun side where members are already gravitating towards them. I will say most recently, the coaches that we've hired on have come from other gyms. And so if you see kind of inside that handbook too, one of the requirements is that like you work out with the class as just like right off the bat, because our community is our first litmus test to see if they're going to vibe with you or not. And I want to see the way that you interact with them. So like at the end of the class, like, do you just kind of finish off and stand there? Do you walk around and kind of high five people? Are you introducing yourself right as you walk through the door? Are you like chatting with some of the people as you're going through, you know, the warm up and different things like that? So we wanted to see if you already mesh. And it's also a great filter, because I've had coaches that have come in that are full time at other gyms and stuff, and then they'll walk in and be like, oh yeah, I want to coach here. I'm like, okay, awesome. Well, you know, have you take a couple classes? And they're like, oh, I don't want a membership. I just want to coach. I'm like, right.
Isn't that wild, where it's like people will reach out and they expect you to be like, oh, you want to coach? Well, here's the keys. Come and go as you please, and just show up and coach that one class, and you can do whatever you want. Right. It's like, there's no way that's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And on top of that, if they're not willing to come in and just work out, then obviously that's like, that's the easiest thing. I'm like, what do you mean I get to come and work out here for free? And great. Awesome. I'm in. Right. As opposed to, oh, I didn't come for membership. I came to coach. It's like, okay, well, probably not the right fit for us then.
I think this is a cool comment here, because I've seen this happen as well. Like someone starts coaching, or you get invited to coach because maybe you're a better athlete and people look up to you in that perspective, and not necessarily having that big presence. Have you had that any of those experiences?
Yeah. So we definitely do. We have coaches that don't necessarily have like a lot of like, even Albert, who's the general manager of the gym. Like, we have two completely different personalities. Like, he's super just like chill and like level and like everything else, right? So like, in me, my whiteboard is like a comedy act, like the first portion of it coming in, and so is my class, right? And so like, we're completely different, two ends of the spectrum on the way that we have the energy in the class versus like him, where he's a little bit more chill, a little bit more mellow. And then on the other side of that, I do coaching development days where I basically just mimic L2s. So we'll bring the coaches in, and that is open and free to any one of our members, because you will be surprised that the people that you wouldn't normally see kind of acting 100% in the way that we just talked about, right? Where they're very extroverted, they're out, they're going stuff. They're still great community members, but they're just not super extroverted in that sense. And all of a sudden, we do the sign up for them to come into the coaching development. I'm like, oh, you're taking this? And they're like, yeah, I've always wanted to kind of do this. And I'm like, great. And then when you put them in front of the group and we put the pressure cooker on them and they're delivering a movement, all of a sudden this energy and this presence and this loud voice like comes out, and you're like, I would have never guessed that that would have happened to be that you'd want to coach. And so providing opportunities like that while developing your own coaches is another way to kind of bring people into the fold that, to CK's point, you wouldn't have necessarily like noticed, because they may not have that same extroverted energy.
I love that idea of opening it up to everybody. And I bet a lot of gyms haven't even thought of that. We certainly don't do that, but
yeah, I mean, I love it because number one, we need bodies in the room. So like, I've done it where it's just our coaches, and then the 4 or 5 coaches we have here like come in, and you're kind of like, okay, well, there's not that many of us. And the last time I did it as well, and there'll be one coming up in January, I open it up even to the other gyms, like the one right up the street. I'm like, hey, if your coaches want to come in and hang out, work on some development stuff here, I'm totally cool with it. And I have a good relationship with that gym owner as well. And so like that's my whole thing. It's like, I'd rather have more people in the room. I'd rather have more ideas. I'd rather have more people, learning and developing. And I'd rather be able to take kind of this ownership of the experience in total across all the gyms that I could reach out to that are in driving distance. So like if their coaches have any need to want to learn and want to practice, as coaches, we do not practice that much. Then I want to provide that opportunity for them. And it's always fun when you have a lot more people in the room.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think it's huge to just, like you said, provide the opportunity in general. I've had people at my gym that want to be coaches, and I know based on the factors and things we've talked about, I'm like, you're not a good fit for coaching at my gym. But how dare I be the person to say, like, no, you can't be a CrossFit coach, right? We all know the impact that CrossFit's had on our lives. And to your point of what you said to the gym owner previously, that you want to do this full time and want to open your own gym. So I've always been like, all right, you can come and be a part of our coach development process. You'll probably never end up at the floor at our gym. But then also inviting other gym owners that are local. I've had people at my gym that I put in my coach development knowing they'll never coach at my gym. But then another gym owner reaches out to me and is like, hey, we're in need of coaches. Do you know anybody? I'm like, actually, I got somebody that we've been working on some things and they might be a good fit and they can go and coach over there. So I think just bringing the standard up and developing everybody, it's the same thing. I know I've heard you talk about it before, is like the rising tide raises all boats. We want everybody to be better at this stuff. The gym down the road is not our competition. It is not our issue.
Right.
The better we can make them, the better we're all going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have in Livermore alone, there's like 90,000, 92,000 people inside of this city. Right. And so myself, I have the biggest CrossFit gym in Livermore and kind of within the area. It's competitive with a couple of the other ones in the other cities. Right. We're just about 8,000 square feet. And the gym up the street is quite like significantly smaller. But here's the thing. If we even had a fraction of those 10% of the 90,000, like it would put both of us out of business because there's so many dang people that we couldn't even fit them in all of our classes. That would be a wonderful problem to have. Like, oh, shoot, we're overwhelmed because so many people want to come in and do CrossFit. And so if we both have that mindset and kind of luckily the gym owner that is up the street is of that mindset as well too, like we are so much more better collaborating together. And this is kind of something that, to be honest, over the last couple of years, I've really changed my mind. Like I've heard Dave talk about it, Dave Castro talk about it, like, oh, become the friend with the gym owner up the street. And I'd be like, what does Dave know about that? Like he's never had to freaking scrounge through the couch cushions for pennies to pay the bills. Like, and now I'm going to go to my competition and help them become better. Like, listen to this guy on his like high horse, right? But there was an element of like, okay, that's actually true, because if we did kind of combine forces, if we really showcase what we're capable of, we brought communities together and more people join, it'd be a really good thing to have, where more people just in Livermore knew about what we did and wanted to come join the gym. So much so that we got overflow, right?
Yeah. When you get caught up trying to fight over the same 100 people, you're missing the boat. There's way more than 100 people close to you. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, the number of people that need this is not the problem.
Yeah. 100%.
Jens wants to know, how is your experience with hiring coaches from other gyms to match your standard? Do you put them through your basic onboarding?
Yes. It's been a mixed bag. I've had somebody come into the office after their very first class, and we give feedback right away just because that's within our culture. So we want to get comfortable with it. We want the coach to get comfortable with it, and has literally felt like attacked, like we set them up. And I remember we were like, cool, did you need a couple minutes like together? Do you want a whiteboard? Do you have a lesson plan? Whatever. It's like, no, I got it. And then the class was very like fumbled through and everything else. Yeah. And even though this coach had experience, kind of brought him in, we're like, okay, so kind of like walk me through your game plan, like walk me through the lesson plan, like what you kind of had. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa. And they got pissed off, and it was like, okay, so that's not going to be a good fit. On the flip side of that, we've had people that have come in that were like, hey, here's our process. Like, we're going to have you go through this. This is what we do. And they're like, this is amazing. Like, I'm so like excited to like learn and like dig into this. And I'm so glad you guys have this like system in place and everything else. So it's really been, and that's why we have it, because I'd rather filter all that out right off the bat. Because for me, I would be on the side of like, awesome. I want to be successful in your guys' environment. I've never been here. I've never coached here. So I'd rather have some sort of system where you walk me through what you guys think is a great coaching experience, so I could deliver on that on my end. And so far it's been way more positive than not. At first it was really rough. And I remember talking with Albert, and he's like, dude, is it like us? Like, what is the deal? And I was like, no, man, like this is why we have this in place, is because people aren't used to this, unfortunately, as much in the CrossFit space. And we're challenging them. And some people either rise to the occasion with that challenge and are excited for it, and others are not, and they'd rather protect their egos, and they would rather kind of say we set them up than humble themselves, go through this process, and say, hey, there's a lot more here that I need to learn than there is otherwise.
But
Yeah, I
and,
think
and it
there's
works. It works as a filter for you too, right? Obviously,
exactly.
it's
That's
like
right.
if somebody's
Yeah.
not willing to do that or not open to feedback, they're not going to be a good fit. And I think I've started hiring people from outside the gym, but typically, especially, 10 years ago, it was like I only wanted people from inside my gym, because anybody that came from somewhere else, although CrossFit affiliates are quote unquote the same and we do the same thing, everybody's perspective was always very different. And I was like, I don't want to have to overcome what you think this should look like and this should be.
Right.
And so it was way easier just to create the entire experience from the inside and develop them. Because to your point, a lot of people did not have the open mind of like, let me come and learn and get better. It was like, no, this is how I do it. And this is how I think everybody should do it.
Yep.
Almost had the same, I had to some degree, I have the same feeling with athletes. It's like, I'd much rather have an athlete that got their full CrossFit experience from my affiliate, and that's what they think CrossFit is, rather than come from another gym that does it completely different and then walks in and like, just thinks whatever's written on the board is what they have to do. And it's RX or die and all the rest of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
it's an interesting dynamic for sure.
No, definitely. We've had them to where people will start leaving. So if you guys see me waving at people with all the members walking by and leaving, we have it to where they're like, we've had people walk right in the gym. It's their first time here. They're, a member from another gym or just moved to the area. And before even the whiteboard, they like walk over, they're grabbing their barbell. Like, let's say it's like a 135 snatch. They're rolling 45s over to the bar and like putting them on the bar. We haven't done anything. Like class starts in like 5 minutes and we're kind of looking at it. We're like, hey, no, come on back. We're actually going to be whiteboard debrief here. We're going to warm you up. Imagine that. And then we're going to take a couple of jumps actually to get to that 135. So let's go ahead. And then, of course, like, that same individual, you're watching them snatch and it's like, they're like fighting it up. And you're like, yeah, right. No wonder, because you've just slapped 45s on the bar and like muscled your way through it. So we've even had the flip side of that of like having to train our members as to like how we do things here as well, especially if they come from other gyms. And one of the things we're revamping for this year is our welcome to CFL handbook, the same one that you guys saw with like the coaching one. We have elements of expectation in there of our members as well. Which a big one that we have here is that like nobody cleans up until the time cap is done. And we all clean up together at the end. And so that's kind of like a big one that we have to reinforce and train members on quite a bit as well too. And so, yeah, we lay out that expectation, but we also have exactly what the classroom experience should be like. So they're experiencing it. So that way there's no disconnect between what we teach the coach and what the members wants to experience or should expect in their expectations. So that way it holds our coaching accountable a little bit too. So they know like a new member who's only been here for a day can read through the checklist of stuff that's supposed to happen in the class, the same one that we would deliver to our coach. And if that doesn't happen for some reason, they know that, hey, there was something off on this because we didn't get the experience. No one said my name. I wasn't talked to in this. And all of a sudden now it's like they have that expectation. You can't hide around the fact that like, well, they didn't know they were supposed to experience that.
Yeah, and all that also helps loop back to the courage aspect, right? Like if there's not a clear expectation and people don't really know and it's a little bit gray, then it makes it a lot harder for the coach to walk up and have a hard conversation. But if everyone's on the same page, and I'm sure you've kind of figured that out as you've gone, and then you see like, okay, these are the things that people are struggling having conversations with. It needs to be clearer. People need to know that this is the expectation. And then it makes it so much easier to arm the coaches with that courage to go talk to the guy that's putting the weights on his barbell.
Yes.
And like, I don't have a rapport with this person. It's the first time I've met them, but I still need to go up and have this conversation. Like, hey, dude, this is not how we do it here. Like, just trust, right?
Exactly. In our coaching development stuff too, we do work on that. So we'll kind of grab somebody and be like, all right, Todd, like someone's setting up 45s with their first day and you don't even know their name. Like, how are you handling that? Right. Because there is a strategy to that. And as you guys saw in that handbook is like, I don't want things to be abstract. Like, so when
Right.
we talk about it and we say the courage or different things like that, we're plugging exact examples to it. So that way you have something that you could point at and you could see and you could go, okay. So in that case, it's going to walk over there and be like, hey, hi, I'm Matt. I'm the coach today. What's your name? Todd. Great to see you, man. Awesome. You're super excited to get started with this class. I love this. I wish all my members would be this excited and come over here and start setting up. But I tell you what, we're actually going to go over a whiteboard debrief. I'd love to introduce you to the class. You want to can we walk back there? And then it's there. Oh, yeah, absolutely cool. So where are you from? Awesome. What was like the gym there? Okay. I'm asking, kind of building rapport. Then, hey, by the way, we're going to take you through a great warm up. How's the body? Do you have any injuries? Anything you're experiencing the shoulders or the hips? So it's like, even though I'm basically pushing them back through my system, I'm like asking questions. I'm having a conversation with them, and I'm just kind of like sliding that in there a little bit.
Disarming. Oh yeah.
Yes,
So
exactly.
good.
So then by the time they're back, they're like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I'm excited, as opposed to going over, they'd be like, hey, so actually, that's not what you do, right? It's like, well, okay, you could build through it a little bit differently with the consideration side of things, and have strategies for that.
Yeah, I mean, you discuss that and have examples in here on how to get somebody to scale rather than just walking up and saying, "Hey, this weight is too heavy," or whatever that's going to be too many reps for you. Taking the approach to make it collaborative is how you describe it, correct? It's like,
Yes.
hey, you
Yeah,
should
that's
ask the
exactly it.
question, "What are you thinking as far as the weight's concerned? What are you thinking as far as reps are concerned?" And then at least opens the dialogue to, ooh, you're thinking 135? Here's, and you talk about the stimulus of the workout and why
Yep.
that's the case. Although you can do 135, I'm thinking we should probably do 95 just so we can do the sets of 10 in a row like we discussed at the whiteboard, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's the seeking to understand before being understood model, right? So it's like, okay, cool. I just want to know why you were thinking you were capable of 135 when, like, I know that's 10 pounds over your PR. So like that's weird, let's figure this out. And so by having that conversation first, which all this stuff is like, as they say, it's written in blood, right? Every rule is written in blood. And it's funny because I look back at when I first started, and if you guys remember, my first open was 2013, and it was the snatch burpee workout. So it was like the 40
Mm.
40 burpees and the 30 snatches at 75, then the 30 burpees, 30 at
Yep.
135. And at the time, 135 was, I think, about 10 pounds over like the most I've ever snatched. But of course, I gathered the weight to do 210, right? Like I was like, hey,
Of course.
today's
I
probably
know.
going to be the
That's
day.
the best
Yeah,
when
I'll
everyone's
probably,
like
I'm going to
putting
set
like setting all their
three,
weight up.
Yes,
set
literally.
three
People would set my
PRs to
weight
get
up. I'm
to the
like,
weight.
I'm good. I don't need that weight. And they're like, you never know. I'm like, I do. I know. And I
Yeah.
know I'm not gonna
If
Yeah,
I hit 135, I'm not doing 30 of them or whatever
I
it
have
is.
a good feeling. I'm going to PR 30 times and add 30 pounds and then PR 30 more.
30 more
This is going to
times.
be,
And
this
all
is going
then,
to
under
be
the
fun.
time cap too. All
Yes.
under the
yeah,
time cap.
I do
with all the
better under
burpees.
fatigue. So like, for me too, it's like, I wouldn't have wanted somebody to come over and immediately just like crush my dreams on it. Like, dude, this is stupid. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. Right. And so I figured it out on my own, but yeah, so to be able to handle that and know that I came from that same exact place. Right. And so there's like, okay, I remember, when I thought that as well too, and let's not just immediately like smash this person's dreams down, but let's find a way to educate them a little bit on an expectation here. And again, going back to kind of like the stimulus thing, but yeah, so that's why all those have kind of come from either personal experience or stuff we've experienced over the gym.
Yeah, and to this point here, big pet peeve of mine, everyone should wait till the last person is done with the workout. And this is the key to me in this sentence, but some people just don't know.
Mm.
And it's a matter of we've got to communicate that to them. We talk a lot about assume positive intent, and we shouldn't just jump on people the second they do something that we don't like if we haven't told them what we want them to do first.
Yeah,
And just having
absolutely.
those things written down and guidelines are so important, especially as we're helping build coaches' confidence and just helping to make sure like everybody's on the same page. Yeah.
I know you've got written in there. I was looking for it, but couldn't find it. But you emphasize, hey, remember what it was like when you started and when you
Mhm.
were a beginner, and make sure you refresh that. And I don't care who you are. The first day that you walk into a CrossFit gym, you're nervous. I can vividly remember mine. I pulled into the parking lot, CrossFit Charlotte. This was before the games had even taken place. So there was no Rich Froning that I'd watched videos of. I just assumed that everybody in there was, Terminators, right? But I'd never really seen much other than what was on .com. And like, I'd finished playing a collegiate sport, was pretty physically capable, and I was terrified. So imagine somebody who's, never worked out before and walking in for the first time. And I think keeping that top of mind makes all the difference in the world. And I love everything that you're saying and describing and that you actually write out are all a lot of things that are like implied in gyms from my experience. It's like, hey, we create this culture where nobody cleans up until everybody's done. And it's just kind of known. But if it's not written and it's not actually talked about, then it's not like an objective truth. Subjective. And when somebody messes it up, it's really hard to go to that coach that allows it to happen or that member that does it and be like, hey, that's not how we do it here. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I don't see that as a rule anywhere. Well, if it's written as a rule, then you can point to that and be like, no, this is exactly how we do it. And it's objective. And this is how we know.
Yeah. And even worse, where some coaches allow it and other coaches don't. And that can make things not only picking or cleaning the weights up at the end, but just with anything. When there's inconsistencies with that stuff between coaches, between classes, it gets really confusing.
And to you guys' point, like the expectation piece is huge at the beginning. It's always easier to have hard conversations before things arise, because then you just level set. One of the things that I say at nauseum, and this is what I really feel for affiliate owners out there, is like, you have to repeat what's important to you so many dang times that you are absolutely sick of saying it. And I did this during the talk that I gave at AffiliateCon, when I was like, direction and leadership, in my opinion, from HQ needs to be kind of the number one focus. And if you remember back when Greg was at the helm, like, you could easily say, like, he'd come into the room and a couple minutes later he'd be like, you guys possess an elegant solution, right? And like, everybody in the crowd was able to finish what I was gonna say. And so to that kind of mindset, it's like, that's exactly what you need to be able to do as the affiliate owner to your coaches, to communicate what's important. Because even though you're sick of hearing it, I guarantee you there's a handful of them that haven't even heard it yet. And you're like, how? I've said it so many times. Like, yeah, well, welcome to that. And by the way, that's even tenfold when you come to marketing and advertisement. Like, you will be sick of your ads and be like, I've done this and I've said this and we've been doing this for 6 months. And I'm like, guess what? And still nobody knows you exist. So like, you have to continuously do it. So I always say, and this is something that you have to have the personality, and you have to be able to have the reputation, like, with your members, to be able to pull off. So please don't just take this at face value. But there's a lot of times where I'll say something and I'll be like, okay, guys, like, hey, time cap's 20 minutes, like right before we're about to start the workout. Time cap's 20 minutes. Nobody clean up until the time cap is done. Otherwise, I will punch you in the throat. And then like, everybody kind of like laughs and they're like, oh my gosh. But I've anchored it right there with something funny that I've said, right? That is like a lighthearted threat. Obviously, I've never punched anybody in the throat here, but it's like, you anchor it, they all kind of laugh, and then it makes it so that way they could remember it. So like, I'll do kind of fun things like that with thing. Or sometimes if I'm feeling real loose in the mornings, and this 5:30 a.m. class is the one I normally teach, so like, they know me very well because I've taught it for like years or whatever. I'll be like, yeah, same thing, time cap's 20 minutes, don't clean up until we don't clean up, we'll clean up all together at the end, because if you do, like, you just kind of look like a douche, so don't worry that guy. And then everybody's like, oh gosh, so there's different ways that you could kind of anchor that in there, and then set that expectation.
Yeah, but again, you've got to know your people, right? Like, there's some classes, I think I'm even imagining there's some classes that I could totally make a joke like that, and then there's others I think I'd be a little more like, wait till everyone's done. If you have to leave right away, whatever.
That's right.
What's funny is how quickly that culture can erode. Like, I've had it before to where a drop-in shows up and we don't say that, and they start putting gear away while people are still working out. And like, a 10-year member will see them putting their barbell away, and he'll start putting his barbell away. And I remember like having a conversation with one of my other members, like a day after that had happened. I was talking about him, and I was like, it's crazy how people will just do what they see, not what they know or any of that kind of stuff. And this was before class. And at our gym, we have one gym that you run out of and one door that you run out of and one door that you run in. So that way you don't run into each other. And like, I sent them out on a 400-meter run for their warm up. And this member that I was telling how people will just simply follow others, regardless if they know what's right or wrong, intentionally, because of that conversation, ran in the outdoor and half of the class followed them in. And I was like, what are you doing? You guys have all been here forever. You know that you never go in that door. And they're like, well, Robbie ran in that door. So and I'm like, what are you doing? You don't explicitly say that stuff.
It is, if you like become conscious of it while you're coaching class, it is one big sociology experiment. And you will see, and I make the joke a lot of times, the more that they're not paying attention. So like a lot of times if we're going through some sort of warm up and there's like a mobility piece in it or whatever, and you have half the room that's maybe talking to each other kind of in conversation, which is fine. It's fine during that time, right? We're just maybe going through a handful of like active stretches. You'll look over and all of a sudden half that class is doing something completely different than you had just instructed, and you're kind of watching them, and it's because like a small percentage of their brain is actually on what's happening, and then one person who just happened to just do this other stretch randomly, the rest of the group just follows it. And so I always make the same joke. I'm like, guys, that's what happened in 2020. You want to relive that again? 6 feet away. Why? Because nobody just was like, what is happening? I'm just going to follow the person next to me. And so, yeah, it is crazy when people do that, but you're right. And to the point of, then you have the drop in that starts to put stuff away. So the person next to him starts to put stuff away. Like, again, I'll come over and that's another opportunity. Like, hey, and I always start by putting it on me. That's the same thing with the coaches. So it's like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like I completely forgot to say this for class, but we don't clean up here until everybody is like done. And then if I look over and one of my, members of 10 years is doing it, I'll be like, Jeff, what are you doing? Stop it. You know better. And they're like, oh, sorry, So, but again, you have to have that relationship with them. But it is true. And you could also use that to your advantage a little bit too. So if you know that you have some of the people in there that are going to be a little bit more leaders in the group that are kind of the ones that members gravitate towards or anything like that, and you know that you might have like a bigger class on a holiday and they're going to be real talkative, like going out to them ahead of time, being like, hey, can you do me a favor? Like, I'm really struggling this morning to get everybody to pay attention. Like, can you just kind of hang with me on just this portion real quick while we get through it? Because, the majority of the members will kind of follow you as well. And you could use that to your advantage if you needed to as well. So, but it is hilarious how people do that. It's, it never ceases to amaze me.
Right. No matter how strong you feel your culture is and how written in blood this rule is, as soon as somebody drops it, as soon as somebody changes it, you'll get half the group to do it. And I think everything that you just described of how people are like paying attention, maybe at best 50%, goes back to why it's just so important. Like, as technical as I want coaches to be, and as well as I want them to know the points of performance and teach the incorrect, less is more with all of this stuff. The shorter you can keep your whiteboard brief, the simpler you can keep your language in your teaching, the simpler you can keep your language in the cues and corrections. And as much as I want to explain why and give all this stuff, there was a discussion in the comments about people not understanding the stimulus and stuff like that. It's like, I could give you 45 minutes of anything and everything you wanted to, but no one's going to pay attention anyways, and they're definitely not going to do it right. So keeping it simple and making sure that less is more there with that. So one of the other things, and this kind of goes along with what we just talked about, but we talk about kind of bringing people into the fold as coaches that already show and display these traits of people that worry about connection more than cueing and things like that. Once again, actually putting it in your guide helps just solidify the fact that that is what's more important. And you also talk about doing some different evals. What do those evals look like once people get started? Is it simply evaling, looking for the connection that they're making? Do you give them feedback on their cues and corrections right off the bat, or do you kind of build into that because the connection is so important to begin with?
Yeah. So depending on where you are kind of in the coaching journey, and we'll just kind of go with like, let's say a seasoned coach here, is like when we go down, we have the class, there's an observation sheet, then there's a review sheet. So the observation sheet is simply like when we have a new coach who's starting with us, we'll go sit out there with the coach and just have them watch a class, right? And write down what they saw, what they didn't see. They're not giving any feedback to that coach. It's just between us. And then we take that, we kind of go back to the handbook and we look at it and say, okay, where did they hit these points? Where did they not? And then we will get into some of the technical side stuff at that point. Like, okay, cool. What did you see as far as coaching, what cueing, like what did you see there? So that's the first one. And then that gets the coach who's coaching still comfortable with that accountability, because even though they're not going to receive any feedback, guess what? They're going to come to you after class and be like, so how'd I do?
You have anything
Even
for
though,
me?
yeah, even though
Yeah.
literally like we're like, hey, we're just observing your class. This is not a review of your class. Everything still tightens up a ton, right? And so, and I'll just take this moment to campaign for myself here. That's what I thought would help with the quality control with CrossFit overall. Like with the L1 staff, my big thing was like give all of them a region within reasonable ability for them to get to, and have them do random drop-ins at all the CrossFit gyms in their area. Not in the sense of like, again, giving like some sort of secret shopper review, but kind of giving some sort of secret shopper review. Because I used to make that threat all the time. So when we first came here, I would tell the coaches, I was like, guys, so I just got this email from HQ and like Dave's doing tons of drop-ins around at this gym. There's going to be L1 staff. Like, don't be the coach that screws it up for us. Okay. So just kind of keep on right now. And everybody would kind of like tighten up a little bit. There was never an email from HQ. Dave's never was going to come into the gym. Like I totally just like made that up. But again, just having that level of somebody looking at you while you're going through the process is gonna help you make sure that you're just hitting everything and a little more conscious of what you're doing. The second type of feedback we have is an actual coach review sheet, and it's kind of pulled from the L2 and different things like that. Well, we'll go in and we will check off, okay, did they make connections? Did they have a presence during the MetCon? Who did we see them talk to? Did they use names of the people in the class? Did they introduce somebody who was new? And, all of those checkpoints as well, too. Just as much as we want to say like, hey, when you were giving your instruction, like let's say we have squat clean in the workout that's in today, it's like when you were giving your instruction, I should be able to come back to you and then repeat the 2 points of performance that you were trying to cover in the class. And if I can't, then you probably talked too much and you didn't cover them enough. And so it's like, it's easy to be deliberate. Hey guys, we got squat clean today. We're focusing on 2 things. Number 1, getting our hip back as we pull underneath the bar. Number 2, keeping our chest up throughout the whole entire lift. Okay, that's it. Now let's just drill around those 2 things today. Because guess what? You're going to have people that are going to be able to accomplish that well. You're going to have people that are a whole bunch of other mess of things are happening. Cool. We'll give them a little feedback once it's just a one-on-one base right there. But we're just going to focus on those 2 things. And if we could just dial those 2 things in today for this lift, cool. Even though you might be doing some reverse curl, it's like, well, they got the hip back and their chest was up throughout the lift. So we'll work on the reverse curl next time. Yeah. And so we will kind of do that. And then in that coach review one, that is a formal, like, okay, cool. We fill that out. Then we go back and we sit down together. We go over it. Hey, here's what you did really well. This was awesome. Over the next, 30 days or whatever, when we kind of sit down again, this is what we're looking to improve upon. And then we do it on the flip side, like right at the end of the year, Albert went through and it was more or less asking the coaches how we could support pain points they're experiencing in the class, equipment that they felt that they didn't have access to that they wanted to, kind of this like, hey, what would you want to have equipment wise in the gym if you could? Money wasn't an object. Like, where can we lend support more? Where are you guys struggling with in terms of like the programming? Can we make some adjustments there? How is the timing in the class? Do you feel you have enough time to coach? So don't just also do it in terms of like leveling them up. Give them an opportunity to kind of give you some feedback from the owner, or if you're the manager or whatever, as like how you could support them, because we want to take as much stuff off their plate as possible. So they just have one job to do, which is give an awesome classroom experience. And that's it. And so if there's things that we're not providing that could help that experience, we want to make sure that we could do that as well. So it goes kind of both ways. And then the power of AI has allowed us to then take all those answers that the coaches gave. We threw it into Gemini. I said, summarize all of this, find the patterns between the coaches' answers, and then give me 2 biggest things that we need to focus on from the general manager point. It's like, here it is. Here's your summary. And then, by the way, collectively, here's the 2 things that would touch on everything that the coaches gave you feedback on.
All right. So now I'm curious to know what are those 2 things? I'm also curious to know what the equipment is. It's always interesting. We ask our members what they want when we order.
Everyone wants some random things you're going to use one time a year.
Yes. Yeah. Jerk blocks.
Yeah.
So So ours, like, so the feedback that we got was actually the programming was good. We had some good feedback, which was like more upper body pulling strength added across the board, which was really good because I took the same thing of a couple years worth of I write all the programming here at the gym.
Yeah.
Took a couple years of that, put it together and aggregated it in AI and said, what is this missing based off of, this CrossFit criteria? It happened to be more like posterior chain work and upper body pulling. So that
Oh.
coach hit the nail on the head there. So it was up body pulling in the programming, providing more opportunity for that. And then our biggest thing, one coach did say GHDs because we only have 2 in here now, right? We only had 1 before, but no, 2 now. And then the other one was Concept 2 bikes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Concept 2 bike. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fair because we have a
We have
bunch
one of
of
those and people fight over it.
that's the thing. Like the gym has grown to the point to where like we got to buy 10. Otherwise it's completely pointless.
Yeah, if you have less than 10, you can't really put it in a workout unless it's like a Fight Gone Bad style workout, kind of like an
Yeah.
interval. But you have to have like 5 movements. So if I have 25 people in class, I can start them all at different places, right?
Exactly. And so that was those were kind of the main things that we got feedback on. But yeah, and I hope to be able to do that. Our goal is to buy 10 ski ergs and 10 Concept 2 bikes within the next the next couple of months here, because yeah, even if I have 10 of something, I'm still doing interval style. I'm still doing like 2 on, 2 off, because I would say on average our class size, oh yeah, what's up, Sean? On average, I would say our class size is probably between 12 and 15. So like
Yeah,
even if
that's
we have
pretty.
10, majority of the classes aren't even going to be able to have an individual, that bike or the rower if we do program it. And I still do because I don't want to make everything interval style and then I just have a substitute. So it's like, ironically, if it's an assault bike that's in a workout, nobody complains about substituting to a rower. Like you got people that like right off the bat.
All right, I'm good.
Yeah, they're like all row. I'm like, there's only 8 people in this class. We have 10. We're fine. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, I'll run instead.
Yeah.
That's interesting with the GHDs too. We did that a handful of years ago. I started following like .com, and obviously, especially it was probably 7 or 8 years ago, .com programmed a ton of GHDs. And so it was like, all right, we only had 2 at the time. And I was like, we'll figure this out. Obviously we'll scale the workouts, but we'll give everybody way more exposure because this is going to be the workout, whatever it was on .com.
Right.
Sure enough, we get to the end of the year and like the most requested piece of equipment was additional GHDs. Like that's one of those things.
Now, Todd?
We've got 5 now.
Okay.
Oh, nice. How is 5? Can you put that into anything like
it still ends up being
or?
It still ends up being accessory work, and we have workouts where sit-ups happen in like rarely is there a workout that has GHD sit-ups anyways that are programmed that anybody in our gym can do the full volume of them. So at best it's like, hey, Matt, you and I are going to partner up because we're the same height. And so we're going to share. We're either going to alternate rounds between ab mat sit-ups and GHD sit-ups, or we'll do half the rep. So we still get it in to some degree. Like I think 5 is the minimum enough to get them in as accessory and potentially put them into workouts. But to your point, without 10, it doesn't show up that much. And 10 it's not worth buying 10 of those, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know how much the gym up the street from me just was selling one over Christmas break. And they were like, I forget, they wanted whatever price for it and was like, trying to sell it to their members. And I just reached out. I was like, hey, I'll take it for this if no member buys it. And then an hour or 2 later, they text me like, yeah, just come pick it up. I was like, okay, great. So I was able to get one. Yeah, I was able to get one. But how much do they cost? Do you guys know offhand? They're like almost $1,000, right? By the time you ship it over to your gym and everything else.
At least now, yeah. This had to have been 7 years ago when I bought them, or maybe even more than that. Our last big one, and it was like $1,000 a piece then. So I'm assuming they're not cheaper now than they were 7 years ago. So
yeah, and they just take up such a big footprint too. That's the other thing, right? So it's like you buy it and you spend the money for it, and you're like, cool, we got 1 GHD, and now I got to store a bunch of them. And yeah, it's just like I am jealous though. I don't know if you guys been to JR Howell's gym in South Carolina.
No.
But when he runs a thing called Crash Crucible, and it's probably one of the best higher level in affiliate competitions that is ran, in my opinion. And I'm completely biased because he's a good friend and we stream the competition for him and stuff. But he utilizes all the money that he gets, like he just reinvests it back into the gym. And so like now that they've done that for years, like he has all the coolest shit, like stuff that you would never buy, right? Like as a
Right.
normal gym. And he admits it too. He's like, dude, I got to store all this. I have it all over here. But like it's really cool because over the years he's collected. So he's got, 15 GHDs in his gym. He's got the flip sleds that, 10 of
Oh
them
yeah.
that are in there that
Oh,
he could
nice.
utilize. He's got like, all the different bells and the whistles, handstand obstacles, enough to run them in a class if you wanted to for the 2 people that would actually utilize them.
Right.
But yeah, so it's
Worm. Remember when all the gyms were buying a worm?
he's got the worms, yeah, because he does
Dude.
Crash Crusenda, which is like the partner version of it,
Right,
or
right.
the team, yeah, the team one he runs. But yeah, it's pretty cool. But like even with somebody like him, you go and have a conversation with him, and he's like, all this really cool stuff that you guys see, the majority of it I'm just storing all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the truth, yeah, because
And
like
if he
it's
wasn't
fun
running
to
that
have it.
competition,
Oh, he wouldn't have it at all.
yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, it's just literally because and that guy just invests everything back into his gym. So any dollars that is made, he's like, great, yeah, I took all this sponsorship money and all I did was just, buy the X
I
amount of
know.
equipment with it or all of this. Yeah, exactly. So it's yeah, it's not all it's cracked up to be as far as having all that, but it is kind of cool. Like if you think about if I won the lotto, I'd build my gym from the ground up. I'd have a 400-meter
Have
track around
For
it. I have a
sure.
swimming
Yes.
pool,
Track.
and all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. This is how most of this stuff, yeah, have another function. People can sit on it, they can change shoes, it
Oh, yeah.
collects dust,
The
dog
reverse
hair if you guys
hypers, the
allow dogs
cup
in there.
holder, all the
Oh
things,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, jerk boxes, expensive desks. Yep,
Uh-huh.
all
Yeah.
of it.
Well, man, this has been awesome. Really appreciate you taking the time, making it happen,
Yeah.
especially early in the morning. Great
Oh,
way
yeah,
to kick
absolutely.
off 2026 for us. If people want to follow more, get involved in media launch, follow you as the executive producer on the Savant Show, where can they find you?
Thank you.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's my Instagram thing there. You guys can follow me there. We also have on school platform SKOOL /media launch. There's a bunch of free stuff for affiliate owners and coaches in there, not only surrounding media for your gym, which there's a ton of that stuff in there as well, but also how to set up like Google My Business, how to run ads through Meta. Like it's all completely free. So if you guys want to go there and sign up, as well as different stuff that I've had, like being able to put together a contract so you could go out and get a first responder contract. I got 2 of them with Livermore Fire and Hayward Fire here that do really well for me, as well as like some B2B stuff. And then I think actually at least the first version of the coaching handbook, which I sent to you guys, is actually in there for them to download for free as well too. So pretty much, yeah, if you guys want to connect, there's almost 600 gym owners and coaches that are in there now as well. So go on in there. Self-admittedly, we have fallen off in terms of like putting a ton of content in there. We used to do it all the time, and then life got busy, and like I said, it's all for free. So unfortunately, it falls down to the last thing on the list. But we've been recently putting a lot more stuff in there, as well as the preventative healthcare model and offer. That's where I really feel like will be the next thing for CrossFit, especially for affiliate owners. And so I documented my whole process. Everything in there is put in there, and it's free for you guys to take, utilize, make it your own, and hopefully make some really good, healthy individuals at your gym, but also make yourself some more money. And then I'll be uploading. I'm revamping. I shouldn't say I'm revamping, but we're doing a second series of Killing the Fat Man. You guys remember that from back in the day?
Yeah.
Yep.
With
Yeah.
Gary Roberts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we got somebody at my gym to do it. I just got an editor to do some post-production. I've been filming a lot of it myself and leaning on Sevon quite a bit to like, hey, how'd you film with Gary? What'd you do here? How'd you do that? And so we have that. The trailer has officially done. So I'll be putting it there for people to kind of check out, as well as we'll start like advertising that. And that version of it, then the individual following is going through currently the preventative healthcare offer and the model that we're utilizing at the gym with the CrossFit Medical Society. So if you guys want to kind of see that in action, that's what that whole thing is filmed around. So yeah, go check that out.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. In fact, I think I saw you just posted a video of how to set goals essentially for the new year, right? You and Rios and Vera in there. There was
Yes.
a
Yeah.
video on that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Where can we see
exactly.
that video?
It's at
In
the
the
school platform.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I utilize it every single year for the last 3 years, and basically it's like planning out your next year. There's a bunch of, I called it what, the 5 buckets of life, I think, or something like that, and
Yep.
like
Yep.
reversed it from that. And yeah, you basically put down a couple of big goals in each, and then more importantly, habits that you either need to get rid of or you need to pick up to accomplish each one of those goals. And then I kind of laid it out in like this little slideshow. That was and that was just an internal meeting with Media Launch, and Jay was like, "I think that's cool. Can we put it in there?" And I was like, "Yeah, go for it." So we chopped that up and threw that in there.
That's awesome, man. So cool. Well, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for jumping on this morning. We'd love to have you back in the future.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Matt. This is
Yep.
awesome.
Thank you for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. Now, if you're a coach who wants to coach more effectively, impact your members, and advance your career, then the Knowledge Pro is the next step. Inside, you'll get hundreds of coaching videos, weekly calls with level 4 coaches, and direct feedback on your coaching. From homework reviews to full class breakdowns, we do it all. This is the best way to grow as a coach and take your skills to the next level. Now, you can join the Knowledge Pro at besthouroftheirday.com/the knowledge. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. Now keep coaching, keep improving, and we'll see you next time.